Hello and welcome. It's Adina from the Immigrant Finance Podcast. We are so excited to have you here. Let me introduce myself for a second. I am an immigration attorney who's been practicing for nearly 10 years. I'm also an accredited financial counselor and a financial and business coach specializing in empowering immigrant families really move from surviving to thriving and build wealth and live to their fullest potential. I got involved in this work from a unique experience where I am actually not an immigrant myself, but my husband is. And I have gone through with him the whole experience and journey of what it looks like to come to this country and know nothing about finances and have no resources and what that can do to you personally and as a family. And what happened for us was Mal came here in 2013. And when he came, we really struggled about money for several years. And even as an immigration attorney, I couldn't find any information out there about how immigrant families could navigate the financial system. I didn't know whether he could have a bank account or a credit card or invest, or whether he'd be able to have a mortgage or retirement fund someday as we thought about growing our lives together. And this was really hard and it caused a lot of anxiety and stress and overwhelm for us. We spent about the past 10 years really obsessively studying the intersection of the immigration system and the financial system and learning how they really work together, how people can navigate it. And first started sharing about what we were learning in 2018 on our website at immigrantfinance.com, which we'd love for you to check out. We've got a ton of free, awesome resources that can be helpful up there. And so once we started this website and started blogging about this topic and really seeing there was nothing out there on the whole internet, we knew that we had something that was helping people, and we knew that we needed to take that very seriously and expand it. So we have since grown the platform where we've now got this podcast, our YouTube channel, a ton of social media education content out there. You can check us out on various platforms. We've got a free Facebook group. People can hang out and check out some of our trainings. And for those who are looking for more support, we have our signature Immigrant Finance School program where we really focus on helping immigrants learn how to do everything financially, regardless of their financial or immigrant situation. And we help people make massive financial shifts so they can move from surviving to thriving, to move from the paycheck to paycheck situation with no plan to having a plan to create lifetime wealth, and to really move forward their goals and thrive. This is something we are extremely passionate about doing, and it is our act of service to the world. And we hope to see more and more immigrants who are taking these steps, who are supporting each other and growing this amazing community so that we can see more immigrants building wealth. Our goal is to, over the next 5 years, help 1,000 immigrant families invest over $10 million together. So join us in this journey. Let us know about what steps you're taking to move forward your finances. Share out these episodes, share out our posts so that we can get the word out and encourage your family and friends to take steps to become more financially empowered, because this world would look very different and our immigration laws and system would look very different. And frankly, the people who vote and determine the future of this country would look very different if more immigrants were financially stable and strong and building wealth. So thanks for joining us on the ride, and we can't wait to connect with you. Always love hearing from our audience. So shoot us a message on Instagram at immigrant.finance. And we can't wait to connect. Enjoy the episode and take care. Hello, and welcome to today's episode of the Immigrant Finance Podcast. I'm your host, Adina. I'm an immigration attorney and accredited financial counselor. I specialize in supporting immigrant families to
build wealth and develop systems to take their finances to the next level. Today, let's talk about how to get past the fear of budgeting. This is something that's been coming up in a lot of lectures and workshops I've been doing lately, helping people with financial planning. And also with some of my personal friends, I've been helping where there can just be so much fear and avoidance that comes up that can stop you from getting started with budgeting. So, we're going to talk about 3 strategies you can do today to try to start getting past that fear if that's coming up for you, or if it's not coming up for you, to just take your budgeting practices to the next level and help you feel really confident and excited going forward so that you can have an awesome budgeting system. Now, why is this important? Budgeting is one of the most incredible tools available to us in financial planning. Everything goes back to your budget. It's really the foundation of your financial plan. I always like to say that the difference between having a strong budgeting system and not is like whether you get to where you want to go. Everybody has a million goals of what they want their life to look like, what they want their finances to look like. But the difference between the people who actually achieve those things and make it happen and those who don't is having a plan and having a system to get you there. It's just a tool to implement and build the life that you want to have. It's nothing more than that. And I know budgeting is often used and talked about as this kind of like punishment tool to restrict you. I know when we were struggling with finances when Mal immigrated to the country and we had never budgeted before, and we're learning all this for the first time. I studied so many different budgeting strategies and approaches, and a lot of them just felt bad and made me feel bad about myself, made me feel bad for wanting things, for wanting to live life. So it's really important to find a budgeting system that makes you feel good and just supports you to reach your goals in a positive way so that you have that pathway to actually turn your goals into reality. So let's jump into a few ways how you can start, thinking about budgeting a different way so that you can know it can be this really positive thing in your life and get past some of those fears that come up. And just to give a little more context about what those fears might be looking like for you, that one of my best friends was just telling me about her experience is when it comes to budgeting, is that she just kind of shuts down. And for her personally, it goes back to like some family money trauma stuff, some things that, happened with her parents that have been kind of drilled down her subconsciously. Even though she makes good income, even though she makes good financial choices, even though she's a really responsible person, when it comes to actually doing the budget, she just kind of freezes up. There's a wall there, right? And that's really, really common for people with budgeting. I know it was for me too when I started. I was definitely an overspender. I would go shopping when I was feeling down. I was an emotional spender. I had no idea about, where each of my dollars was going. I was had no goals I was working toward financially. And I would just kind of spend as the money came in. And when I thought about um, having a budget at first, when I realized that'd be helpful, I had a lot of resistance too. And I also shut down. I really had to push past that to be open to learning about budgeting, and then finding a budget and building a budgeting system that made me feel good, that made me excited to stick to my budget. So let's get into the first strategy. The first one is understanding that budgeting is what you make it to be. So it doesn't need to be a punishment tool. It can actually be a tool that gives you power. And when you get that, it totally changes the game because instead of it being this thing you should be having that you should like avoid, that's going to make you feel bad, right? You can see it as like, this is my way to get to where I want to go. This is something good in my life. And that again goes all back to finding an approach to budgeting and a philosophy to budgeting that supports you and makes you feel good. So when you look at those types of budgeting that are like more punishment oriented, it's really about like, how many no spend days can you have? Have you all heard of that before? I really get upset when I hear people bragging about all the no spend days they've had because it's not sustainable, right? Like it's like a crash diet with dieting. Maybe, for a week or two, you don't spend anything and you reach that goal, but then as soon as it ends, you always want to go blow a lot of money because you haven't spent any money in like a week or two. So it's not sustainable. We have to build systems that are going to work for us for the long term because the secret to wealth really is about consistency over time and sticking to a strategy over time. If don't spend any money 1 month or are really good and don't do any shopping and don't spend anything extra, like, but then that doesn't continue on, that's not really going to get you anywhere. So we all want to reframe the budget and not think of it as a way to punish ourselves or have a crash diet or see how many days we can go not spending, but instead see this is a tool that gives me power that I can use to apply and implement the goals that I want to have in my life and make them happen. So let me give you an example of how it can be a tool. So let's say, you're like, one of my top financial goals is I want to buy a home in 2 years, right? So just having that's like, oh my God, how do I make that happen, right? That's a huge deal. It's a lot of money. It's easy to just shut down and avoid it and not really make it happen. But with a budget, you could build that into the goals category of your budget, and knowing that your other expenses and monthly costs are accounted for, and that you're also accounting for time to enjoy life now, then you can, work in the goals section of your budget to identify how much you are able to put toward that goal of getting a house someday. And there's a lot more that goes into all of this. A lot of strategies that we cover in Immigrant Finance School, our signature wealth building and coaching program, of how to get those numbers for each category to a place that feels good, that works in balance with the other numbers, like how to reduce expenses, how to make sure you're spending money on things that really do give you joy and not just instant gratification. There's a whole lot more into that. But when you can start to have a purpose for every dollar, that's how you can make space in your budget for a goal like buying a home. And then you have the timeline. We said the goal is like in 2 years. So you can work backward. You can figure out what is the down payment I would need to have with the type of loan that I want to get. And then divide that by 24 months, right? That's the number of months in 2 years. That's going to give you that monthly amount you would need to save every month for the down payment. And then you have your goal. And it may be, okay, there's no way right now for me to hit that, but how much of that can I hit right now? Can I put $50 toward this to start? Can I just do something to start growing the muscle, right? And then the next month, let's try and increase it. What can we do? Can we reduce spending in another area? Can we pick up a side hustle and increase income? What can we do to start raising this number to hit that amount I want to be hitting every month to make my goal happen? That's how you can get super strategic, and use your budget as a tool that's going to get you where you want to get, that's going to get you to that house. Okay, so that's the number one strategy, is understanding budgeting is a tool that gives you power, gets you where you want to go. The second strategy for how to get past the fear of budgeting, once you have that knowledge and understanding that this is a good thing, this is a powerful tool, is to actually face the numbers. So for a lot of people I've worked with, I've seen that this is actually the hardest part of all of it. It's looking at the numbers and knowing where you are now with your spending. There's a saying, awareness precedes change, which means like, you can't make a change until you're aware of what's going on right now. So if we want to be making some shifts in our spending, in our saving, in our investing, in our financial planning and goals, we're not going to be able to do that until we have awareness of what's going on right now with your money. And sometimes that can be really hard to see when you face the numbers and you see, okay, I've got nothing going toward goals right now. I'm actually in the negative. I'm going into debt. I'm spending on all these things I don't need, right? And I have no idea how to stop. Like, that can be really hard. Okay. But I want to encourage you all and support you to know that this is the hardest part. And if you can get yourself the courage to face those numbers and commit to building a sustainable budgeting system that's going to get you where you want to go, that will be the hardest part. It only gets easier from there. It's really just getting to this point, having that courage to get to this point, and then you get to just improve it. Then you just have this amazing, powerful tool that helps you get where you want to go, right? So just getting that courage to face the numbers, it's the hardest part. Finding a way to do it, whether it's finding a coach that can help you or a community of other people who can encourage and support you, or a buddy system with a friend, whatever, whether it's, printing out all your bank and credit card statements and going through the numbers, whatever it's going to be that's going to work for you, go for it, commit to it, and support yourself and love yourself and be compassionate with yourself, and know that even though it's going to be hard, that you can do it, and it's only going to get better from here. And it is that first step to face the numbers, and it starts to take away a lot of the fear when you do that, because even if the numbers are really bad, or worst case scenario, let's say you sit down and look at the numbers and they're like way worse than you thought they were, and it's really upsetting for you, um the just having the data starts to reduce some of that fear, because sometimes the unknown is worse than the known. Sometimes avoiding it, right, makes it this much worse, bigger problem, because the problem's just getting worse and worse and you're just avoiding it and it's getting bigger and bigger, right? Or maybe it's like way bigger in your head than it actually is, right? So to get past that, going and facing the numbers can start to take the power away from the fear and give your power back to you. Because no matter what the numbers say, no matter what this looks like, you're by doing this for yourself, you're taking your power back. You're saying, I'm gonna put myself first here. I'm gonna believe in myself that even if this is really hard right now, that I can get to where I want to go. And this is part of the process in doing that. And I'm gonna do this because I love myself, I love my family, I care about my future. And so I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna carve out, 2 hours on my, Sunday or whatever it is, and you can find your schedule. And I'm gonna sit down, I'm gonna look at all the numbers, I'm gonna see how much I'm spending in each category, where, I'm going to check in with myself. Where am I spending that I might not need to? Where am I not spending enough? Right? Am I not letting myself enjoy life at all right now? Am I not building my future? Am I giving my money to everyone else in my family, but not doing anything to build my retirement savings or invest? Right? So getting that awareness by sitting down and looking at the numbers is going to give you a lot of data that will be critical for you to know what you need to do next to get to where you want to go. Because it's like math. You look at where you want to go, right? Let's say that's um, point D of A B C D. D is where you want to go. If we never get to point A, how are we going to go from A to B to C to D? We have to start at A, get that information, and start that journey so that you can build your path that will get you to D, is what it looks like. And that brings me to the third strategy of how to get past the fear of budgeting, is to really find and build an amazing system. Systems are incredible. I love systems. I geek out about them all the time for all areas of life. But when you systematize things, especially things that are hard and that cause fear, it takes a lot of the emotion out, and it allows you to stick to something that you can continue doing, week after week, month after month, that is going to help you build that life you want. So instead of just kind of doing your budgeting in your head mentally, or maybe writing down a post note or something, build an actual budgeting system that serves you, that's automated, that's effortless, that really accounts for all of your needs, and also make sure that you are enjoying your hard-earned money, and that you're building your future, and you're making a plan for investing and retirement, and maybe starting a business, and maybe planning for a vacation, and maybe saving to buy a home and supporting family members, and allows you to do all the things that you want to do in life. Having a system is going to be the ultimate way to make the budgeting a powerful tool. So it's not just starting to budget and facing the numbers is also building a system that will effectively allow you to budget in a way that's going to work and get you the results that you want. So if that's something that you're could benefits from help for, we have a really great free guide that gives a short little overview of some of the goal-driven budgeting that we teach in Immigrant Finance School. You're welcome to check it out. It is over at immigrantfinanceschool.com/budgeting. And I hope that is helpful for you and that you take one step today forward in starting to budget if you haven't already, whether it's maybe just starting to look up some different approaches to budgeting or whether it's facing the numbers and looking at your statements today or sometime this week. Make that time, carve out 1 hour this week where you can sit down with your budget and get started, or if you've already been budgeting, to do something to improve your budgeting system so that it really does become that powerful tool to make your goals happen. And we're always here to support you. If we can help you with getting started, to check out our free 30-minute consultations over at immigrantfinance.com/consult. And have a great rest of the day.
Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to listen to the Immigrant Finance Podcast. And congrats to you for taking some time to invest in learning about finances. It is one of the most powerful steps you can take in your financial journey, is just carving out the space and the time to prioritize it. It all gets easier from there. If you found some value out of this episode, if you learned something, we would be so grateful if you could please share it with your friends or family. And also go ahead and subscribe on Apple Podcasts and follow on Spotify. It would really help us be able to reach and help more people. Those algorithms do make a difference. There's two ways you can also deepen your journey when it comes to finances with immigrant finance that we would love to invite you to think about. The first is to go and join our private free community group over on Facebook. It's called Building Generational Wealth for Immigrant Families. And you can check it out at facebook.com/groups/immigrant finance. There's a bunch of free prior trainings we've done under the tab guides. You will also be able to access future trainings that we have going forward and connect with other immigrants and their family members who are also focused on building wealth and building a better future for them and their families. The other way you can get started is by learning more about investing. Investing is one of the most powerful acts you can take to build wealth and to stop trading time for money and start building passive income and building wealth for the future. We have a free masterclass that is all about how immigrant families can get started investing, and you can check it out over at investingmasterclass.immigrantfinance.com. Thanks, and we hope you have a great rest of your day.